Isla's suitcase rests on the marble floor, half-sipped, half-forbidden. The sound of the zipper feels louder than her heartbeat. It's 2:13 a.m., and the mansion is silent, except for the storm outside, and the faint hum of the refrigerator that somehow feels like judgment. She pauses, her hand trembling on the handle, listening for footsteps she both fears and expects. She's leaving tonight, for good. The man she married doesn't love her, not anymore, or maybe he never did. From the upstairs landing, a light flicks on. Her pulse spikes. Every second of silence stretches into something unbearable. She hears the slow, measured footsteps. Him, Leon Grayson, billionaire, CEO, husband, the man whose love once felt like gravity and now feels like a cage. He appears at the top of the staircase, barefoot, shirt unbuttoned halfway, a faint shadow of sleep and anger clouding his face. His voice is rough when he speaks, like he's been expecting this. "Where are you going?" She doesn't answer. She can't. Her throat tightens around all the words she's rehearsed for months. He descends the stairs slowly, eyes never leaving her. Every click of his heel against marble echoes like a countdown. "You think you can just walk out? I'm not your prisoner, Leon." Her voice is quiet but firm. He stops a few steps away, studying her. His gaze flicks to the suitcase. "Then what do you call this marriage? A mistake?" The word lands like a slap. His jaw flexes. For a long, unbearable moment, neither speaks. The air between them feels electric, not in the way it used to be when love lived there, but in the way before a storm breaks everything open. Leon finally exhales, looking past her, as if the act of meeting her eyes would make it real. "After everything I've given you, this is how you repay me." Isla laughs, but it's hollow. "You gave me a house, not a home, a name, not a partner. You built a kingdom, Leon, and made sure I never belonged in it." He doesn't move. The storm outside rattles the windows, and lightning briefly lights his face. Sharp, tired, human. You think walking away fixes it. It's the only thing left to do. Her fingers tighten around the handle, ready to pull the suitcase, but he steps closer to close. The familiar scent of his cologne hits her, and for a second, memory betrays her. Nights, when his voice was softer, when his touch didn't feel like an apology. He whispers, "Don't test me, Isla." Something in his tone isn't a threat, it's a plea disguised as pride. But she turns anyway, rolling the suitcase toward the door. The metallic wheels squeak against the marble, and then the power goes out. Darkness swallows the house, save for flashes of lightning cutting across the walls. She freezes. Leon's voice comes again, low, from somewhere behind her. "You never understood, did you?" "Understood what?" "That I only pushed you away because I didn't know how to lose you." Her heart stutters. "You already did." She finds the door handle and yanks it open. But the storm outside is violent, rain hammering the porch, wind howling like the world itself is warning her not to go. Still, she steps out. The cold rain drenches her instantly, her hair plastered to her face. Behind her, she hears the sound of glass shattering, something thrown, maybe a vase, maybe everything he's been holding back. She doesn't look back. Not yet. By morning, she checked into a small hotel on the far side of the city, the kind of place no one like Leon Grayson would ever think to look. The sheets smell of detergent and freedom. For the first time in months, she breathes without flinching. She scrolls through her phone, thumb hovering over an unsent message to her sister. "I finally did it. I left him." But she doesn't send it, because some part of her, the part that still remembers the man who kissed her like forever, meant something docenty. "Believe it, it's over." Then her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She frowns. Answers. Static. Then a man's voice, calm but cold. "Mrs. Grayson." She stiffens. "Who is this?" "Your husband's been in an accident." Her world stills. "What?" "He's in critical condition. You should come immediately." The call ends. The silence that follows feels like drowning. She stares at the phone, her breath shallow, her pulse a runaway train. She could ignore it. She could finally be free. But her body moves before her mind does. The suitcase lies open on the bed, her clothes half folded, as if mocking her. She throws them back in, slams it shut, and rushes out into the rain again. Back toward the man she swore she'd never run to again. When she reaches the hospital, the sterile brightness makes her dizzy. Reporters hover near the entrance, murmuring Leon's name like it's a headline, not a person. She slips past them, heart hammering, scanning for the ice. A nurse recognizes her immediately. Mrs. Grayson, right this way. She's led down a corridor lined with white walls and secrets. When she steps into the room, the sight steals her breath. Leon lies there, pale, still, a bandage wrapping his temple. Machines beep rhythmically, indifferent to the chaos inside her. His hand rests beside him, the same hand that once held her too tightly, and sometimes not tightly enough. She hesitates, then reaches out, fingers trembling, barely touching his. He stirs, just slightly. His lips move, barely forming words. You came back. Tears burn her eyes. You didn't give me a choice. A weak smile flickers on his face, then fades. The monitors beep louder. A nurse rushes in, shouting something about vitals dropping, and Isla is pulled backward by a doctor's arm. She's pushed out of the room. The doors swing shut. Behind them, alarms sound, sharp, urgent, final. And she's left in the hallway, gasping for breath, realizing too late that love, even broken, has never really let her go. Hours slip away in a blur of antiseptic light and anxious silence. Isla sits in the hospital corridor, her knees pulled close, eyes fixed on the ICU door that's swallowed every heartbeat she still has left. The storm outside has quieted, but the one inside her chest hasn't. Every sound, the squeak of nurses' shoes, the hiss of oxygen tanks, the muffled urgency of doctors feels like another reminder of how fragile everything has become. When the door finally opens, a doctor steps out, mask hanging loose around his neck, eyes tired. He's stable. For now. The words hit her like rain after a drought, relief mixed with fear. Can I see him? He nods. Only for a few minutes. Isla stands too quickly, her legs unsteady, her breath uneven. The walk back into that room feels longer than any distance she's ever crossed, longer than the years they spent together pretending everything was fine, longer than the silence that lived between their shared meals and untouched wine glasses. Leon lies there, asleep, his face a map of exhaustion and bruised pride. The bandage on his head looks almost too white against his skin. Machines hum around him like fragile promises. She moves closer, her reflection trembling in the polished steel of the equipment. Her fingers find his again, slower this time, more hesitant, as if touching him could summon every memory she's tried to bury. Why do you keep doing this to me? She whispers, voice breaking. Every time I think I'm done, you find a way to pull me back. His eyes open, slow, deliberate, heavy with pain and something else she can't name. You were leaving, he murmurs, voice raspy. You were really going to go. I did go. He studies her quietly, lips curving into something that isn't quite a smile. And yet, here you are. Her throat tightens. You almost died, Leon. He looks past her, eyes clouded. Maybe I deserved to. Don't say that. Why not? His gaze snaps back to hers, sharp and full of old fire. You left me long before tonight. You were here, but you weren't mine anymore, because you stopped being mine first. The silence that follows is heavy. It fills every inch of the room. Finally, he turns his head, looking out the window where dawn is trying to paint the world back to life. You want honesty, Isla. I didn't know how to love you without control. I built empires by being ruthless. I thought love worked the same way. Her heart twists. And I thought love was supposed to heal us. Instead, it became a war. He lets out a soft, bitter laugh, the kind that sounds too tired to hurt anyone anymore. Then maybe we both lost. A nurse enters quietly, adjusting his fore. Leon winces but doesn't complain. Isla watches, her eyes stinging. This version of him, quiet, vulnerable, human, feels like someone she's never met before. When the nurse leaves, Leon speaks again, softer. Stay, just until I'm better. It's not a command. It's a request. She hesitates. Every part of her wants to refuse to remind him that staying has always cost her more than leaving. But something about the way his eyes search hers makes her pause. Maybe it's pity. Maybe it's love. Maybe they're the same thing now. Just until you're better, she whispers. He closes his eyes, a faint smile ghosting his lips, as if that's all he needed to hear. Days blur into weeks. Isla moves through the mansion again, the place she swore she'd never return to. But it feels different now. The air is softer, the silence less cruel. Leon is recovering slowly. His temper has dulled, his arrogance cracked open by something real. Mortality, maybe. Every time he catches her watching him, he doesn't smirk like he used to. He just looks back quietly, as if memorizing her face. One afternoon, she finds him in the garden. sitting beneath the old oak tree where they used to argue about everything and nothing. His arms still in a sling, but there's a small book in his lap, her favorite novel, one he used to mock her for reading. He glances up. "You used to read this aloud." She blinks startled. "You remember that?" He nods, smiling faintly. "I remember pretending I didn't like it. You looked beautiful when you read, like you belonged somewhere else." Her pulse skips. "And that didn't bother you?" "It terrified me," he admits, "because I knew I wasn't the kind of man who could give you that kind of peace." Isla sits beside him, unsure why. The silence between them, isn't empty anymore. It's full of everything the Haven tea said. "I don't know if peace is what I want anymore," she says quietly. "Maybe I just want honesty." Leon turns to her. "Then I'll start there." He reaches for her hand, slow, tentative, careful, like it's the first time. "When you left, I realized something. You weren't the problem, Isla. I was. I built walls because I thought they'd protect me. All they did was shut you out." Her eyes fill with tears, uninvited and unhidden. "You can't just say these things and expect everything to fix itself." "I'm not asking for that," he says softly. "I'm asking for a chance to mean it." His thumb brushes against her knuckles, a touch that feels like both apology and memory. For the first time, she doesn't pull away. That night, she can't sleep. She wanders to the balcony, looking out over the city lights. A soft breeze carries the scent of rain. Leon appears, wearing a light sweater, his sling gone. "Because I keep wondering if you'll leave again. Then give me a reason to make you stay." But when he steps closer, her breath catches. His hand brushes her cheek, hesitant, waiting for rejection. It doesn't come. A year's worth of anger melts into a silence heavy with everything left unsaid. Soft at first, like a question, then deeper, like a memory rediscovered. "You can't fix us with a kiss, Leon." "I know," he murmurs, "but maybe it's a start." He watches her disappear down the hall, and for the first time in years, Leon Grayson is afraid, not of losing everything. Morning sunlight creeps through the glass walls of the Grayson mansion, catching on the edge of the silver-framed wedding photo still standing on the shelf, dusty, slightly tilted, a ghost of promises once made. Isla stands in front of it, coffee cooling in her hand, staring at the picture like it belongs to someone else. She doesn't recognize the woman smiling beside Leon anymore. That girl had hope in her eyes. That girl believed in forever. That girl didn't know what silence could do to love. Behind her, Leon's voice breaks the quiet. "You're up early." She turns. He's in the doorway, still a little pale, but stronger than he's been in weeks. No tie today, no armor of confidence, just a man in a half-buttoned shirt and messy hair. He looks real, human, dangerously unguarded. "Couldn't sleep," she says. He studies her for a moment, then steps into the room. "You used to wake up before me all the time. You'd make coffee and read the news. I'd pretend to still be asleep, just to watch you." Her chest tightens. "That was a long time ago." "Doesn't feel like it," he says softly. "It does to me." The words fall sharp between them, and he doesn't argue. He just nods, pours himself coffee, and joins her in silence. Two people drinking memories instead of caffeine, standing in the ruins of something that used to be alive. Later that day, Leon has a meeting in his home office. Isla lingers in the hallway, half hidden by the doorway, watching him as his assistant hands him papers and lowers her voice when she sees Isla nearby. There is a flicker of discomfort. The same woman once told Isla how perfect their marriage looked. Isla wonders if she still believes that now. When the meeting ends, Leon finds Isla standing by the piano, her fingers brushing the dust on the keys. "You used to play," he says softly. "I stopped." "Why?" She shrugs. "You never listened." He hesitates, something like guilt passing through his eyes. "I'm listening now." She almost laughs. Too late, but her voice lacks anger. It's exhaustion instead, quiet and heavy. He sits down on the piano bench, surprising her. "Play something." "For me, you hate the piano." "I hated what it reminded me of," he says. "That you had a life before me, a light I couldn't control." His honesty stuns her, but she sits anyway, because part of her wants to remember what it feels like to have music fill this house again. Her fingers hover, then press the first key. The sound is hesitant, uneven, but as she plays, something soft unravels inside her. Leon watches quietly, eyes never leaving her face. When the last note fades, she feels his hand rest gently on her shoulder. "Do you ever think," he whispers, "that maybe we were never meant to end like this?" She turns to him. "Then why did we?" He doesn't answer, because deep down, they both already know. That evening, Isla hears Leon's voice, raised in anger. She follows it down the hallway, stopping just outside his office. Through the half-open door, she sees him pacing, phone pressed to his ear, voice sharp. "I told you to keep that quiet. If this gets out, it ruins everything." A pause. "I don't care what it costs. Handle it." The call ends, and he exhales, rubbing his temple. Isla steps inside. "What was that?" He startles slightly. "Nothing. Business." "You don't yell like that over business. It's complicated." "Then explain it." "It's not your concern." The words hit her like a slap. The same tone, the same distance, the same wall she thought they'd broken down. "You promised no more secrets," she says. "And you promised to trust me." He shoots back. "I'm trying," she whispers, voice trembling. "But you make it impossible." They stare at each other, old habits and new wounds colliding again. Finally, she turns and walks out, slamming the door behind her. Leon closes his eyes, guilt written all over his face, but says nothing. That night, Isla dreams of the night they met, the gala, the laughter, the way his confidence felt like gravity. She remembers thinking, this man could ruin me, and she'd been right. When she wakes, the bed beside her is empty. She finds him downstairs, sitting by the fireplace, eyes lost in the flames. "There's something I need to tell you," he says. "About what?" He hesitates, then meets her eyes. "The accident, it wasn't random." She frowns. "What do you mean?" His voice lowers. "Someone did it on purpose." Her heart freezes. "You're saying someone tried to kill you?" He nods slowly. "A former partner. I made enemies. The crash was a warning." Isla sinks onto the couch. "And you were just going to keep that from me." "I didn't want to drag you into it." "You already have," she says, her voice shaking. "You always have." He leans forward, desperate. "This is why I wanted you to stay. It's not safe for you out there." She laughs, bitter and trembling. "So what? I'm safer here, with a man who lies to me to keep control." "It's not control," he insists. "It's protection." That's what every man says before he destroys what he's protecting. He flinches, eyes darkening. "You think I don't know that? You think I haven't been paying for it every day since you left?" Her breath catches, then stop paying and start changing. "I'm trying," he says quietly, "but I don't know how to be anyone else." She looks away, tears threatening. Then maybe that's the problem. Later that evening, her phone buzzes, a message from an unknown number. "He's not telling you everything. Check his study drawer." Her heart pounds. Leon's upstairs in the shower. She walks into his office, opens the drawer, and finds a black envelope sealed tight. Inside are documents, bank transfers, and a photograph her own face, standing outside the hotel she'd escaped to the night she left him. The timestamp matches the night of his accident. Her chest tightens. He had someone follow her. The room spins. All the trust he'd begged for, all the promises, all the change, and still, he'd been watching her. She doesn't hear his footsteps until it's too late. Leon stands in the doorway, towel around his neck, eyes unreadable. "You weren't supposed to see that," he says softly. "You had me followed. I was trying to protect you by spying on me. You were in danger." "No," she says, voice breaking. "You made me the danger, Leon. You don't understand love. You only understand control." He steps closer, desperate. "You think I liked knowing where you were? It tore me apart not to go to you, but I couldn't risk losing you again." She shakes her head, tears spilling. "You already lost me. You just refused to admit it." They stand there in silence, rain beginning to fall again outside. Finally, he whispers, broken, "I can't lose you again, Isla. I don't know how to exist without you." Her breath trembles. "Then maybe it's time you learned." She walks past him, trembling, the envelope clutched in her hand. The door slams behind her, leaving Leon alone in the half-dark, staring at the floor as the weight of what he's done finally sinks in. That love, when built on fear, was always going to collapse. Isla drives through the city streets, rain streaking her windshield like tears she refuses to shed. Her hands grip the steering wheel tighter than necessary, the black envelope resting on the passenger seat beside her. Every turn, every honking horn, every neon reflection on the wet asphalt feels magnified, the city itself conspiring to echo her racing thoughts. She tries to focus, to tell herself that leaving was the right choice, that the distance between them is funnily enough to breathe. But the photo, the documents, the undeniable proof that Leon had someone following her gnaws at her like acid. Burning trust, she thought, had begun to rebuild. She knows, in her heart, that confronting him is inevitable. But the question, isn't if she'll see him again, it's how she'll survive the truth when she does. By mid-afternoon, she arrives at a small, discreet private office in the financial district. The number on the envelope matches a contact listed under M. She sits in the sterile waiting room, tapping her fingers against the smooth armrest, mind spinning through every possibility. When a man steps out, mid-30s, sharp suit, eyes like steel, Ila's stomach clenches. He smiles faintly, polite, professional, but there's an edge to him that sets her on high alert. "Mrs. Grayson," he asks. "I'm Michael. I think you have some questions for me." Her voice trembles when she replies, "Why did you follow me? Why was Leon's accident connected to me?" Michael's expression tightens. "You weren't supposed to know this, but yes, your presence in the city, your movements, they were significant. Leon's enemies weren't just after him, they wanted leverage, and unfortunately, you became part of the equation." Ila's heart pounds. "You mean to say my life was in danger because of him, because of his business?" Michael hesitates, then shakes his head slowly. "Not entirely. This wasn't just business. There were personal vendettas, long before either of you met. Someone wanted him to lose control, and in their mind, you were the leverage that would ensure he would." The weight of his words crashes down on her. She swallows hard, feeling nausea rise from the pit of betrayal, fear, and something else she refuses to name. When she returns home, the mansion feels smaller, suffocating. Every corridor, a reminder of a life that has been both refuge and prison. Leon is waiting in the library, pacing like a caged animal, his expression unreadable until she steps through the door. "You went to see him," he states, voice low, almost accusatory. "I had to," she says, her hands shaking. "I needed to know why I was followed, why the accident wasn't just about you." He runs a hand through his hair, exasperated and raw. "I wanted to tell you everything, I swear, but I couldn't. I didn't know how to protect you and admit the truth at the same time." She crosses her arms, trembling. "Protect me, by spying on me, by making me feel like I was trapped in this house, in this marriage, and even outside, I wasn't safe." He takes a step closer, voice pleading. "I couldn't let them hurt you. I couldn't lose you twice." She laughs bitterly, sharp and broken. "You've already lost me, Leon. Do you even understand what it means to rebuild trust when every move you make screams control?" He flinches, silence falling between them, heavy as the storm outside starts again, rain tapping insistently against the windows. Hours pass. They don't speak, but every glance, every breath between them carries the weight of unspoken truths. Then, as night cloaks the house, a soft knock echoes from the front door. Isla opens it to find a man standing there, drenched, holding a small, leather-bound notebook. "This is for you," he says simply, and steps back. She closes the door and opens it carefully. Inside are detailed notes, conversations she never knew were recorded, surveillance logs, and entries pointing directly to a man from Leon's past, his former business partner, someone who had always envied his rise, who had orchestrated both the accident and the watchful eyes she'd never consented to. Her blood runs cold. Every word, every date, every name confirms that the danger was never imagined. It had been real, personal, and far closer than she ever suspected. Leon finds her in the study, notebook in hand, pale and shaking. He doesn't touch her, doesn't speak, letting the truth fill the silence between them. Finally, she looks up, voice small but defiant. "You need to fight this, Leon. Not just for you, but for us. I can't live in a house where everything I do is a liability, where every shadow feels like it's waiting to take you from me." His eyes soften, a mixture of relief, fear, and desire surfacing. "I will," he promises, voice breaking. "I swear, I'll handle it. But you have to stay. Stay with me while I fix this. Stay with me while I make it right." She hesitates, heart torn between years of hurt and years of love that refuses to die. Finally, she nods slowly. "I'll stay. But this ends the moment I feel unsafe again." His hand reaches out tentatively, brushing hers, a contact full of apology, promise, and something unspoken yet electric. As the night deepens, Leon makes a call, his tone sharp, commanding, utterly unlike the man who had once lost control of everything he loved. The camera pans to Isla, watching him with cautious hope, aware that the road ahead will be treacherous. But for the first time since the accident, since the betrayal, since the lie, there is a fragile sense of unity, a quiet fire that has begun to burn again between them, a heat that promises both danger and desire in equal measure. And outside the window, the storm begins to fade, leaving only the lingering tension of what is yet to come. The mansion is eerily quiet, the kind of quiet that feels like it's holding its breath. Isla walks through the halls, her heels silent against the polished marble, notebook clutched tightly in her hands. Leon follows, slower, deliberate, each step a careful balance between urgency and control. They have spent weeks uncovering the layers of deception, tracing the threads of Leon's former partner's vendetta, piecing together a puzzle of lies, danger, and obsession. And now, it has all led them here, to the edge of something neither can ignore. A confrontation that promises to either destroy them entirely, or cement their bond in a way that words never could. Isla glances at Leon, seeing the same storm in his eyes she has felt in her own heart. Fear, regret, desire, and an unspoken promise that they will face this together. The study door creaks open, and they step inside. The room is empty, save for the faint echo of past confrontations, the desk scarred by heated arguments, the chair where Leon has plotted his empire, the bookshelves that have witnessed both their laughter and their silence. A sudden sound breaks the quiet, the faintest shuffle behind one of the shelves. Leon's posture stiffens, instinct taking over. "Stay behind me," he whispers. Isla nods, heart pounding, every nerve on fire. The footsteps grow louder, deliberate, confident, but there is an edge of panic beneath them. The predator suddenly realizing the prey is no longer vulnerable. Leon steps forward, voice steady, commanding. "Show yourself." A figure emerges, tall, lean, with a smirk that once could have been charming but now reads like malice incarnate. Leon Grayson, the man sneers. "You never learn, do you?" Isla grips the notebook tighter. She sees the tension coiling in Leon's shoulders, the dangerous calm in his eyes, and a flash of the man who once terrified her with his control. "This ends tonight," Leon says, voice cold, low, final. The man laughs, a sharp grating sound. "Ends? You think it ends with me? You've lost control over everything, Leon, and now your precious wife knows too much." He steps forward, menacing, and for the first time, Isla feels fear clawing at her chest like a living thing. But she doesn't flee. She stands beside Leon, her own fear mingling with resolve. The confrontation escalates quickly, tension snapping like a taut wire. Threats are hurled, accusations fly, and for a moment, the room feels suspended between past and present, between anger and desire, between life and everything else. Leon moves with precision, protecting both Isla and the fragile remnants of their lives. He corners the man, words sharp, cutting through years of lies. "You thought you could take everything from me. You thought you could destroy me, but you underestimated what I'm willing to fight for." Isla watches, breathless, as he steps closer to danger, his presence magnetic, dangerous, utterly compelling. And in that moment she realizes that she has never loved anyone like this. Not for ease, not for comfort, but for the fire, the chaos, the vulnerability, and the intensity of the man who owns both fear and devotion in equal measure. The man falters, hesitation flashing across his face, and Leon seizes the moment. With controlled force, he disarms, overpowers, and finally corners his adversary. Isla's heart races as adrenaline and relief surge through her veins. The threat that has haunted their lives begins to crumble, leaving in its wake silence and the heavy, intoxicating weight of survival. Leon turns to her, chest heaving, eyes dark and raw. He doesn't speak immediately. Instead, he reaches for her, hand warm and firm, grounding her in a world that has been chaotic for too long. Isla steps into his embrace, and all the walls between them dissolve. The heat that has simmered, restrained, and burned beneath years of tension finally ignites. Their kiss is inevitable, urgent, a collision of passion and relief, of anger and longing, of fear and love. It's messy, consuming, utterly cinematic. Time seems to bend around them, the world narrowing until there is only Leon, only Isla, only the fire that refuses to die. When they finally part, their foreheads rest together, breaths mingling, hearts pounding in unison. "We survived," she whispers, voice trembling. "We can survive anything," he murmurs back, and for the first time in years, there is truth in his words. As dawn breaks, painting the mansion in soft gold, Isla and Leon sit side by side on the balcony, watching the city awaken. The storm has passed, leaving air that smells of rain and possibility. They do not speak of the past, nor the betrayals, nor the threats. Those shadows have been confronted, fought, and overcome. Instead, they simply exist together, hands intertwined, hearts aligned. Each moment a reminder that love, in its most dangerous and raw form, is also the most unbreakable. They have been pushed to the edge, and yet they have returned to each other, stronger, more alive, more utterly human. In that silence, in that golden morning light, they understand that the cold marriage that almost destroyed them has finally become something burning, real, and impossible to ignore. And as Leon brushes a strand of damp hair from Isla's face, their eyes meet, and the unspoken promise hangs between them. They will face whatever comes next together fiercely, and with every piece of the love they thought was lost now rekindled.